Hi, this is Prabhu Prasanna Behera, advocate. I have been asked by D Lex Doctrum, an organization of a group of young law students who are taking active steps in the field of law and legal awareness. And they have asked me to talk about today's theme that is the World Day Against Child Labor. Before going to the details of such a theme, I was thinking today that what exactly a child labor mean. Child labor is an act or a thought or something which results in exploitation of a child's right, a child's life, and deprives a child the basic requirement and takes away the dignity from a innocent child. When we talk about a child, another important factor which comes to the mind is childhood. Now, what is a childhood? According to UNICEF, childhood is a time period where a child should be in school, should play, should enjoy the life, and also should be provided with a nourishment, encouragement, love and affection by the family members and elders. Now, when we talk about a family member or a family, what does it mean? Is it only the father, mother, brother, sister, and with whom a child stays? I believe it is not so. When UNICEF talks about family, probably UNICEF follows the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world, one family. That means for a child in this world, every one of us, including myself, are also important and should feel that we are also a part of the same family where a child belongs to. Therefore, it is very important that each one of us should be careful, should be conscious and diligent enough to protect the child and its childhood. International Labour Organization works on this area, and since 2002 they have come up with a very nice and noble idea of observing June 12 as the World Day Against Child Labour. Now, when we talk about child labor, ILO defines child labor as a work or an activity that deprives the child from his basic requirement and becomes a hurdle in the actual growth of a child. Further, ILO talks about engaging a child in such an act which will definitely damage the mental, social, health and the overall well-being of a child. Probably for that reason, to have a better future, to have a better world, ILO has rightly taken up this particular issue and has been organizing and observing June 12 as World Day Against Child Labor. As we all say, a child is the future of the society. Therefore, and as we always think of a better future, the first and foremost duty of us is to protect the child today and right now. Moving ahead, International Labour Organization, with the help of many other social organizations, have been working day in and day out with various perspectives for preventing child labor and to eradicate this social evil. Majorly, International Labour Organization has convened two important conventions which are also part of the 8 core conventions of International Labour Organization. That is Convention number 138 and Convention number 182. Those are specifically dedicated and devoted for this particular area, that is child labor. If we talk about Convention number 138, under this convention, the signatories and the countries, those who are the signatories of the Convention 138, they were encouraged to come up with national policies to ensure effective abolition of child labor, to have a minimum age for entry into the industries and various other activities, and also to give a guarantee to the society that any person who is engaged in such kind of social evil is to be taken to task in their local or in the respective states. So far as Convention 182 is concerned, that is more of moral and with a bigger goal that talks about worst form of child labor. For the purpose of that convention, the convention has come up with a specific norm, that is, every child who is under the age of 18 should not be allowed to work in hazardous workplace. Further, Convention 182 also talks about other kind of child abuse such as sexual abuse, child trafficking and other such worst form of child abuse and child labor. Likewise, there are several other international conventions such as Universal Declaration of Human Rights, United Nations Declaration of Right of Children and so on, are also very much protective and focusing on the particular issue of child labor, and they are working across the globe for protection of child and prevention of child labor. Coming to the Indian context, when we are talking about Indian laws, we are also aware of the fact that our constitution is very much careful and provides and postulates several provisions to protect the child and to prevent the child labor. A child's fundamental right is to be protected, as Article 24 speaks on prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. Coming to the state's responsibility under DPSP, where states are also duty bound to protect the child and their requirement, and to see that no child is abused in any manner whatsoever under the sovereign jurisdiction of the state. Likewise, other acts like Factories Act, the Mines Act 1952, Juvenile Justice Act are also having such provisions where child labor is considered as an offense, and that those acts are never ever encouraged in any manner whatsoever. To be more specific, in Indian context, Child Labor Prohibition Regulation Act 1986 is the specific law which postulates, which has got aims and objective to prevent child labor activities and abuse of children in any of the industrial acts or any of the acts which can be termed as a child labor. So far as the penalties and the action taken under the act is concerned, I must mention that if any person or organization found to have been engaged in any of the activities where a child is engaged in a hazardous work, or in any manner if the person or the organization who is the accused is in contravention of the provisions of the act, is liable to be liable for imprisonment of 3 months and extending up to 1 year, and also the provisions of fines are also also there. Now, in my personal opinion, so far as the act postulates about punishment for 3 months to 1 year and fine of 10,000 to 20,000, steps are being taken and should be taken to enhance the punishment, so that this will be a threat to others not to think in a second, for a second even, to engage a child in any of the activities which can be termed as a child labor activity. Further, The act also postulates for the second offense or for the subsequent offense, if the same person or the organization is being found, then the punishment of imprisonment will be extended up to 2 years, and also the fine can also be enhanced. To be more specific, recently, as we were discussing that what could be the possible reason, cause of child labor. The cause, if I think of, is nothing, most broadly we can say illiteracy and lack of financial assistance or poverty. When we talk about illiteracy, Right to Education Act comes to my mind. Right to Education Act provides that each school, private schools or the educational institution is bound to provide 25% reservation for the economically backward students of their locality, and which is being implemented in our country. That will definitely give a better scope for the child, for the children, those who are under lesser financial environment or they are financially not so sound, to have a better education. Against child labor, and the theme is impact of crisis on child labor. Now when they say impact of crisis, probably the crisis means the situation of coronavirus COVID-19, where we all are expecting the contemporary society, the contemporary situation is going to be damaging, and damaging for each one of us in our respective professions, respective activities, and also as a whole, any activity, good or bad, economically, everything is going to be affected. At this juncture, as we discussed earlier, that everyone who is engaged in child labor activity or who is encouraging in any manner whatsoever, rightly or wrongly, has certain reasons behind it. As I always feel that every culprit is also a victim in some manner. Therefore, as the activities, the majors, the organizers and organization are affected from such kind of situation, how to deal with the issue, how to address this social evil so that not even a single child is abused or is engaged in any of the activities which is called as a child labor in any manner whatsoever. At this juncture, my suggestion would be that each one of us are individually responsible, and we should be careful enough, we should be aware enough that in our locality, in our vicinity, not a single child is abused, and we should be raising our voice, we should be taking small steps so that we can contribute to the big cause of eradicating and stopping this child labor activities across the globe.